So I've got about 3 tablespoons, maybe less, of olive oil in the pan, and I'm actually making a double batch of soup here, so you probably need a little bit less. And that's going on over a fairly low gas flame. Smallest burner, not particularly hot. And I'm going to put in a few ounces, about 4 ounces of frozen diced onion, which is roughly equivalent to 1 big diced onion. So here's the onions sizzling away reasonably well, and I'm just going to leave them to cook until they are truly transparent and just going a little bit caramelised. So I'll put the lid on those, and the only other ingredients I'm using are 1 Scotch bonnet pepper, which I shall dice with the mezzaluna so I don't get it all over me, and because I'm making a double quantity I've got 2 pounds in weight of courgettes, just basic supermarket ones, and I shan't use anything like all the cream. I'll use probably about a third, maybe only a quarter of that pot of cream, and that, if you want to measure it carefully, is a 300ml pot of cream. So I'll show you in a second when I've got the courgette sliced. So you can probably see the pan's steaming quite nicely, and the onions are now down to a nice transparent and slightly caramelised colour. Steam all over the camera. There's my Scotch bonnet diced finely, and there's the courgettes, and you can probably see they're not all sliced anything like evenly, not desperately thinly either. So I'm just going to put the pepper in the pan first, stir it around a bit to mix it with the onion, then I'll add the courgette, and I'll show you that in a second. So there's the Scotch bonnet pepper, and I didn't mention that when I diced it I didn't bother taking the seeds out because I quite like it fairly hot. Obviously you can use a milder pepper or take the seeds out if you don't like it quite as hot. All mixed in, so now it's just the courgettes to go in, which I can't do while I'm holding the phone. And there they are, all piled in the pan. Smoking very slightly because it's really hot and not much liquid come out of them yet. And I'm going to just put the lid on and leave them there. I'll take the lid off and stir them probably every 2 or 3 minutes until they release quite a lot of moisture and start to collapse. I'll show you when I get to that stage, but I should think for this panful it's probably going to take 15, maybe 20 minutes, might be less if I'm lucky. So these have been in about 2-3 minutes now. You can probably hear that the sizzling's got a little bit deeper because there's a bit of moisture coming out of them, and you can probably see that they're sweating nicely. I'm going to cover them again, carry on like that. So I've just given them another quick stir to make sure they're not sticking, and as you can see, some of the ones coming up from the bottom of the pan are getting really translucent now, and it's kind of bubbling away. Don't know if you can hear bubbling more than sizzling now because there's quite a bit of liquid in the pan. I still think there's about another 10 minutes to go on this, so I'll stop this video here, join up the bits later on when it's got further down. So these have now been cooking for approximately 20 minutes, and you can see there's lots of liquid coming out of them. The courgettes are collapsing nicely, but you can also see that some of the ones that have been higher up in the pan are still not properly translucent. So I'm going to give these about another 10 minutes, and this is a double quantity, so I would have expected a recipe quantity like I said to you before to be ready for the liquidizer by now, but this I'm going to take a bit longer. You can see lots of steam, but also you can see there's lots of liquid coming up. So here they are. We're now 30 minutes since I first showed you the onion going onto the oil, and these are pretty much ready now for going into the liquidizer. My liquidizer for my Kenwood Chef is only a plastic one, so I'm going to turn the gas off under these. I'll just leave them for about 5 or 10 minutes to go slightly cool before I put them into the plastic liquidizer, and I'll show you what happens next. So that's the amount of liquid I've got left in the pan after just taking all the cooked courgettes and whatever, and I just used a slotted spoon to dump them into the liquidizer. But as you can see, there's quite a lot of juice in there as well. And I'm just going to give them a quick liquidize now, see how they break down. Sometimes if you don't put all the liquid in the liquidizer, I find that it begins to stick after a while. Let's see what happens. Don't know if you can see through all the steam on the camera lens, but that's a pretty smooth, fairly thick liquid now. So I'm just going to put it back in the pan with the liquid that's in the pan, and then I'm going to light the gas again. And as I put on the recipe, I'm then going to put in a little bit of boiling water. I like it quite thin, so I'll show you how much I'm putting in and what happens there. So here it is, straight back in the pan. Just with that bit of liquid that was in the pan already welling up round the side. Lit the gas again to bring it back to pretty near boiling point. For me that's thicker than I mean it's a good thickness for a meal soup, but I'd like it a bit thinner. So I'm just going to reach for the kettle. See how that is. It's still a little bit thicker than I normally have it, and you'll find out exactly what this is like, so I shall bring something to work for you tomorrow. So at a guess I've put about 2/3 of a pint of water in, and this is a double quantity of the mixture that I put in the recipe for you, and to me that looks about the consistency I normally like now. Yes, I would say that's about right for me. Obviously you can have it as thick or as thin as you want. So I'm just going to put the phone down a second while I grab the cream and stir in a bit of cream. I'll show you how much as I'm going along, and then we've got the finished soup, which you can taste tomorrow. Okay, so in terms of the amount of cream, I'm just doing this purely by eye. I reckon that's about 1/3 of a pot so far, and I go on the colour. I've made this now enough times to have a rough idea by the colour whether it's going to have the right texture and taste of cream for my own taste, but obviously again that's a personal preference, so you go for whatever you want, and I would say that's about the colour that I have it. So there you go, chili and courgette soup. I'm just going to bring that back almost to boiling point now, before I put myself some in a bowl to eat tonight, and then I shall put most of the rest of it into Tupperware and bring it in for you tomorrow. Enjoy.